I met a young man on Tinder who I really liked. I completely fell for him. I was eager to introduce him to my main partner, saying, let's go, I want you two to meet.
I could have had 3 different partners in a single day.
No, my mom also didn't know about these kinds of relationships. What would your mom have said? She would have said that I'm foolish.
What are open relationships?
There's a guy and a girl in the traditional sense. They've agreed that they can have other kinds of relationships with different people, but still maintain a direct connection with their main partner.
They can have certain relationships, either romantic or sexual, with someone else. Partners may or may not agree on certain terms. They just meet, flirt, communicate, and not just that, with other people.
How did you get into one?
My first experience happened when I was 20. That's where it all started. I was living with a girl for a while, and after a month or 2, or even half a year, we realized we were more irritating each other than bringing pleasure. But we still felt good together, and I thought to preserve our relationship, we needed a break from each other. We have our biological and psychological needs, so we decided to have an open relationship. At 21, I had 2 partners simultaneously and introduced them to each other.
I was in my first year of university, and there was this classmate. Our interaction was always flirty. University parties started happening, and it became a pattern that we would wake up together after a fun night. I was fine with this kind of relationship, and so was he. But then I found out he had a girlfriend, and they were in an open relationship. So I ended up being the third person in their open relationship. I got into an open relationship somewhat reluctantly. I met a guy, we spent a lot of time together, but at the same time, he was with other girls. He texted and called other girls, and even arranged to meet them. I knew about this from the start, but I didn't have strong feelings for him, so it didn't bother me much.
How many partners have you had at the same time?
The number would be double-digit. I don't know, maybe 10. Maybe more. I'm a sociable person.
I had 4 partners at the same time. One was more relationship-focused. We had more of the dating aspects. And 3 were for sex. There were days when I had 3 different partners.
Are there any agreements in open relationships?
We try not to set boundaries that would limit our physical or emotional freedom. The main agreement we have is honesty.
The most important thing is to tell each other everything that's planned. Like, if I'm going on a date, of course, I'll tell my partner.
If someone new comes into my life, I immediately tell my partner. My partner will know about it before anyone else. In turn, I expect the same honesty and openness from them. No, there was no agreement. When we eventually talked about it, I said I was not satisfied with this arrangement. I wanted to change it, to have a normal relationship. My partner did not agree to change, so we broke up. The agreement was probably there between the guy and his girlfriend, but nobody discussed anything with me. I had complete freedom, and so did he in our relationship. However, understandably, I didn't like this.
Did your partners know each other?
In one case, I had 2 female partners who knew each other well and were aware of everything. We even had fun together. Women, after all, know best how to please each other.
I met a young man on Tinder who I liked a lot. I completely fell for him. I was eager to introduce him to my main partner, thinking we could all get along. That guy was also interested in meeting my partner. We met at our place, had drinks, and had sex. Afterward, we didn't see him much, but from our messages, it was clear that he was more interested in my partner than in me. Honestly, I felt hurt. It turned out that we were both activists and often interacted on work-related issues. I thought we were friends, but when she found out about my relationships with her guy, and vice versa, our communication ended with a minor conflict. Since then, we haven't spoken, and probably neither of us wants to. I think it's necessary to introduce your partners if you're entering another long-term relationship. It seems only fair to all involved. However, if it's just a casual one-night encounter, I don't see the need for introductions.
Is there jealousy?
There was no jealousy. That's my favorite part of my current relationship. Neither I nor my partner feel jealous, generally speaking. Of course, there was jealousy, but on my side, it was incredibly strong. It was more like a deep hurt. You try to please someone in every possible way, then you see them with their main partner, and you can't help but feel hurt, spending time with them regardless. Did the other girl get jealous, do you know? I can't be sure if she was jealous, but judging by the love bites all over her neck, I guess she was trying to show in every way possible that he was hers and taken. There was no jealousy from his side because he never asked about who I was meeting or getting to know. At first, I didn't feel anything either, but over time, I developed feelings for my partner, started to feel attached, and didn't want those kinds of relationships to continue.
I was seeing two girls simultaneously. I was in a relationship with both. Then, one of them started showing jealousy, possibly developing stronger feelings for me and commenting that I was paying more attention to the other partner. This was felt and affected all three of us in the relationship. So I decided to stop communicating with both. Jealousy doesn't always appear, but in this case, it did.
What do your parents think about such relationships?
I'm lucky that my mom is as open with me as I am with her. She knows about all my love situations. She saw all my suffering and hoped he would break up with that girl so we could have a full-fledged relationship. But that didn't happen. What could she do? She just comforted me when I cried at night. No, my mom also didn't know about these kinds of relationships. What would your mom have said? She would have said that I'm foolish. My mom knows and is aware. All through my teenage years, she entertained me with stories of her own youth, which was also quite liberal. I had an example of how to live life without diving headfirst into monogamy. My dad hasn't made any negative comments about it. I think he just accepts it as a fact.
I don't know. You've touched on a sensitive topic because I don't communicate with my mom. I'm on good terms with my dad, but he probably doesn't even know about such relationships. I generally don't publicize my personal life. So, what I'm sharing with you now is quite a revelation. My friends and acquaintances know, but for my family, it's news.
Have you had a threesome?
Yes. I've had threesomes several times. We sometimes invite friends over to hang out, drink, and watch something. There were situations when it turned into something more physical, let's say. I've never had a threesome. My boyfriend never suggested it, but friends have proposed it with other people. I haven't had a threesome either.
I've had threesomes. There were role-playing games, not just between two, but three of us. I could be tied up while the girls danced in front of me. This definitely broadens the boundaries. It all depends on imagination. Role-playing varies. Someone can be a girlfriend, someone else a mistress, and the wife comes home from work. It really adds a certain thrill.
How do your friends react?
It's normal because the people around me are without such prejudices or conservatism. They might say, "That's cool, of course. I won't participate." But why not? There were even times when a married friend with kids called me, asking for advice for a friend of hers who wanted to try. She asked for my experiences and how to prepare, where to find partners.
I've never had a problem coming out to friends or acquaintances. I just talk about it. If it comes up in conversation, I might share a story that includes my polyamorous relationships. I might say something like, "Oh, by the way," but I don't do it deliberately, so people usually just take it in and move on. Only my closest friend knew. She wasn't shocked, but she was surprised that this happened to me. She said, "It's your life, so you decide."
Do you ask for a certificate from venereologist?
Initially, I did insist on it. Why? Because I was young, and for me, it was a taboo, a must-do. But then, my approach changed. I don't just immediately have sex with a girl. No, I communicate first. Through communication, you understand what a person is about, their inner world. Then you ask direct or probing questions about how they take care of their intimate health. There's a degree of trust involved, but it's better than a dry certificate, which could be obtained without even visiting a doctor.
No, I usually don't ask for certificates. I usually ask if the person has visited a doctor. I tend to believe them, but we still use condoms. We try to regularly get tested for HIV, especially important if you have an active sex life.
What are the downsides of open relationships?
The main downside, perhaps, is if a person can't control it and lives this way their whole life. It's a path that can be hard to leave and start a normal, full-fledged family. Another downside is the risk of hurting your partner or getting hurt yourself.
I don't know if it's exactly a downside within the couple, but it's like playing with the feelings of this third person who finds themselves next to these open relationships. Talking about downsides, it's probably the emotional resource expenditure. Naturally, when you have feelings for multiple people at the same time, and you try to maintain these relationships acceptably, you need to devote time to each partner, be emotionally close to each, and it can be draining. There's catastrophically little time left, unless, of course, you all live in a big threesome with a schedule on the door, deciding who sleeps with whom each night.
What type of relationship are you in now?
Currently, I am not in any relationship.
Well, I am in an open relationship. I've been in my current open relationship for about a year now.
I am now in my second polyamorous relationship, which is much more successful and happy. We've been together for over a year and a half, and so far, everything is great. No, I am not in a relationship at the moment. For me to fall in love, I don't know what it would take. It would require a lot of effort, a miracle perhaps. So no, I'm not in a relationship right now.
What are the advantages of open relationships for you?
For me, the advantage is the minimal restriction of my freedom as a person. We have some basic agreements, but overall, I am my own master of my body and emotions, and I don't need to report or justify them to my partner. You have freedom. You can meet and get to know other people. In relationships, typically, my partner would say no communication with other guys. Sometimes you might need help or even just enjoy a compliment from someone else. It helps maintain your morale.
The main advantages of open relationships are the ability to preserve current traditional relationships, reinterpret everything, get a charge of energy, and the realization that you are in demand. Then you can return to your monogamous relationships with new proposals, concessions. It allows for a more organic creation of a family.
Would you consider repeating this experience in the future?
I am immensely grateful for the experience I had. It was probably the most emotionally unstable period in my life, but also the most exhilarating. I'm glad it happened to me, but personally, I would not want to go through something like that again. Of course, I will continue. I don't think the end of polyamorous relationships would turn me away from polyamory, making me return to monogamous relationships because, for me, it's the most acceptable and comfortable format. So, I don't think I will ever give it up. What if the main partner wants this? We have discussed this, and we assume that if one of us wants to make our relationship monogamous, it's at least a topic for discussion, at least something to try. Ultimately, we would draw conclusions from the attempt. If it works, it's not a big problem. This person is important enough to me that I would want to spend my time with them.